Ali, 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 yeah. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7, striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7.
From Dr. Shadua Minty and Mukherjee Chef Suel, National Assistant Grand Chief. Unmuted.
Islam. Can you hear me, Goddess and Queen?
There's the bell. Gratitude.
Gratitude. Islam, Islam, Islamism without the schism. Want to rise upon the 7 within the circle of justice, mercy, love, and right, and give all praises to the great God Allah, our Father God Allah, and honors to His holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj, Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere. And therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Shield. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and Bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything that our Holy Prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome you to another Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate session. And I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Mohadi Shabazz El. But let us come forth with our ancient committee in Adept Moorish American prayer. And as we come forth, we ask that you open up your hearts and minds as we open up the way. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Ya Allah abnu heru makunetaru, Ya Allah abhet heru, Ya Allah ma'ad heru, Ya Allah hotep heru, Ya Allah heru, Ya Allah ma'ad herakuti, Ya Allah ahwajeta juti, Ya Allah prit im sutek prit im heru, Ya Allah bamaduti, al-hajat shapsis rab to Ali. Amin. Hadayas, Hadayas, Hadayas. And that is the say Moorish kin in transliteration. O Allah, the Father of the universe. O Allah, the Father of love. O Allah, the Spirit of truth. O Allah, the Spirit of peace. O Allah, the Spirit of freedom. O Allah, the spirit of justice. O Allah, you are my protector. O Allah, you are my guide. O Allah, you are my salvation by night and by day. O Allah, through your holy prophet. O Allah, Drew Ali. Amen. Aliyassa, Aliyassa, Aliyassa. Islam, Moorish king. And now we come forth before you with the divine constitution of Moorish America. Salvation, our God, unity. The 7 supreme constitutional acts of law. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the grand body of Moorish America. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs, if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The bylaws. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly, according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh. On a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you're part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slave holders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble Drew Ali the prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a parcel of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you're entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of falling humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Prophet noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And now that this meeting has been opened according to the triune acts, Acts 1, 2, and 3 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, we say Islam, Islam, Islamism. The providence of Allah is ever all his works. He ruleth and directeth with infinite wisdom. He has instituted laws for the government of the world. He had wonderfully varied them in all beings, and each by his nature conforming to his will. Shimotepu Moorish King. Peace and love.
Islam is muted. To our National Assistant Grand Chief, Dr. Shedwamiti and Muhaji Shepsuel, opening up the way according to law. The National Grand Secretary of the State of Indiana, Nasinu Hajaru El. We rise giving perfect praises to our Father God Allah, the highest honors to our Holy Prophet, El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali. Honors to our theocratic Moorish American government, honors to our Grand National Seal, Grand National Emblem, our Grand National Flag, the Moorish flag, honors to our Divine Constitution and bylaws, honors to this Grand Moorish Perspectives class, everything that is Moorish. Islam, Islam, Islam. 69. Egypt, capital empire, the dominion of Africa. Free Prophet leaves the Holy Book of Guidance, is national. Through Ali's feet of four. Inhabitants of Africa are the descendants, the ancient Canaanites, the land of Canaan. Man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa, came from the land of Canaan. Father Ham and his family were Seked. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of the Mexians. First, true and divine name of Africa, dividing of the land between the Father and the Son. The man of Cush, northeast Africa, northwest, west, his father's dominion of Africa. Later years, many of their brethren from Asia, the Holy Land, joined them. Moabites from the land of Moab, permission from the pharaohs of Egypt, to inhabit northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. Their Canaanite, Shite, Amorite brethren, sojourned the land of Canaan, in new home. Their dominion and inhabitation extended northeast, West Africa, across the Great Atlantis, even unto the present North, South, and Central America, also Mexico, the Atlantis Islands, was a great earthquake, which caused the Great Atlantic Ocean. River Nile was dredged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt in order to trade with the surrounding kingdoms. The Niger River was dredged by the great pharaoh of Egypt in those ancient days. Trade and extends eastward the river Nile, westward across the great Atlantic, was used for trade and transportation. According to all true and divine records of the human race, there is no Negro or color race attached to the human family. Thus, all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation, the Holy Land of Canaan. Your ancient forefathers were, who are today, without doubt or contradiction. There is no one who is able to change man from the distinct nature of his forefathers, unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator, Allah himself. These holy and divine laws are from the Prophet Abu Ali, founder of the Uniting of the Moorish Science Temple of America. These laws are to be strictly preserved by the members of all the temples of the Moorish Science Temple of America. They will learn to open their meetings guided according to the principles of love, truth, peace, and justice. every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, freedom, and justice. Create their own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet, the Grand Temple. I, the Prophet, Wuju Ali, was sent by the great God Allah to warn all Asiatics of America to repent from their sinful ways for a great lawful day which is sure to come. Time has come when every nation must worship under its own vine and fig tree. Every tongue must confess its own sin and disobedience. Every nation has suffered slavery to the fact that they honored not the creed and principles of their forefathers. That is why the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774. The word Negro, black and colored, was given to the Asiatics of America who were of Moorish descent, because they honored not the principles of their mother and father, and strayed after the gods of Europe, of whom they knew nothing. Long, long is long. It's May 4th. May 4th. Welcome to another Moorish Perspectives class by our Moorish American government. Host instructor is our National Assistant Grand Sheikh, Shadow Amenti, and Moheja Shefsuel. We'll be coming from our chapter of the week, chapter 69, to Capital Empire of the Dominion of Africa. Our subject matter is from Ayat 7. Their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast, southwest Africa, across the great Atlantis, even unto the present north of and Central America, also Mexico, the Atlantis Islands, for the great earthquake, which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. Gratitude again to our National Assistant Grand Sheikh, opening up the way according to law. Gratitude to myself, Dr. Saad Nasiru Hetaru El, the National Grand Secretary of the state of Indiana, for taking registration and also reading the chapter of the week. Moors can kindly check your emails, keep your pens and papers on hand. Now call to the floor our host instructor, National Assistant Grand Sheikh, Shadow Amenti, and Moheja Shefsuel. Just long, Grand Man. Unmuted.
Islam, can you hear me, Goddess and Queen?
Here's the bell. Gratitude.
Praise be to Allah. Gratitude. Islamism without the schism. Islam, Islam, Islam. Islam, Moorish America. Want to rise upon the seven within the circle of justice, mercy, love, and right, and give all praises to the great God, Allah, our Father God, Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution, and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything, and I do mean everything, that our Holy Prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome you to another Moorish Perspectives, as I am your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Mohadi Shabazz El, and my ancient committee and high name being the same as Dr. Shadow Amenti El Moheja Shefsuel. I want to welcome you to another Moorish Perspectives, and this will indeed be a powerful Moorish Perspectives. You know, always trying to add on to the previous bill and give our people a clear conception of exactly who we are. You know, so this will be a very informative measure. Some of this information may be new to some of our Moorish kin, and some of it may be known to our Moorish kin. But nevertheless, we most definitely promise that we'll be most fulfilling and giving our people a grand insight into the work that we have been called to do, and also knowing exactly who we are. You know, minus doubt or contradiction. No man has the power to strip you of your nationality or your divine creed unless you believe that their power extends beyond that of the great God Allah. You know, and who amongst us believe that the slave master's power extends beyond that of the great God Allah? If we think like that, then we have to point the finger at ourselves and most definitely really pay attention to where the fault lies and where the blame lies, so to speak. You know, we have a grand drawing to bring to our family. It's going to be a powerful demonstration we draw from Ayat 7. And the reason why is because I don't know whether or not our people really seen it, but when we go into the book of Ali, because this is one of the books of Ali, we find that it speaks of the capital empire and the dominion of Africa. Now, when it speaks of the capital empire and the dominion of Africa, remember, we like to emphasize that we're talking about the capital empire of the dominion, and the dominion is very large, just like an empire is large. Now, there are three dominions that are actually mentioned in this particular chapter. One dominion is that of the father, you know, who is actually referred to as Ham. An old man Cush, which is the son of Ham, you know, this particular seed, so to speak, had his dominion. And we are told that the dominion of Cush was northeast and southeast Africa. Northwest and southwest was his father's dominion. That's Ham or Kim's dominion. But then it went on to Ayat 5, and it was stated that in later years, many of their brethren from Asia and the Holy Lands joined them. Now, many of our people hear the term Asia, and they can't get over, you know, the people that they see today that they call Chinese and Japanese and Asians, and, you know, they can't get over that. But we're going to give you some insight that go a little deeper, and it's going to prove everything the prophet said. And it ain't strange that this information just so happened to be the same information that is being caught up on by modern science and modern scientists, because the same information that Prophet Noble Drew Ali gave here, when we do the research and when we pull the records, we find that Prophet Noble Drew Ali was very accurate, despite not having, you know, many different feats of modern technology to do this work. His divine wisdom and being able to trace himself back, because we know masterminds are able to trace themselves back, and thus they know. You know, let the record reflect that everything Prophet Noble Drew Ali said was true. But anyway, it went on. I want to talk about the third dominion, because we never really emphasize that there are three dominions mentioned here. It says the Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt. Now, if Egypt is the capital empire, the dominion of Africa as a whole, then okay, this means that it would have to be the Pert Ah or the Sultan, the pharaohs of Egypt, that gives the authority, and said that they was given that authority from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa. So people actually like to speak on what is the relation between, West Africa and Kemet. And the record reflects, and I know this because I'm actually primary evidence based upon my DNA. My DNA show my markers come straight up out of the Sudan, or what some people like to call Nubia, what some people like to call Kush, what some people like to call Ethiopia, Abyssinia. But, out of the Sudan, my matrilineal and my patrilineal DNA went across the Sahel into the West Africa region, all the way into Senegal, in the region of Dakar, or what they call the door of no return. That's what they call it. And we have history that shows even prior to Christopher Columbus ever coming here in 1453, that there were Moors already here upon these shores. And this is based on DNA, but this DNA reflects exactly what Prophet Noble Drew Ali was saying, because it's telling you right here in Ayat 6 that the Moabites from the land of Moab, also known as the Moabites, they were the ones who received permission from the pharaohs, the executive rulers of Kemet, to settle in and inhabited Northwest Africa. Northwest Africa, specifically the region that became later known as Carthage or Tunisia, going into the northwestern region, that was Northwest Africa, literally. But yet, it was that particular place coming out of the Nile Valley civilization, those who were known as Puttites, because it was the Puttites, who were also known as having a link with Canaanites and Moabites. And this is the bloodline, that basically seeded Northwest Africa. We have the proof of this, and we're going to show it. But they were the founders and the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. So these same ones that migrated out of this region, they were the founders and true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. Didn't say Moroccan nation, didn't say Moroccan government. It said Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. And this brings us to Ayat 7. Their dominion, meaning the dominion of the ancient Moabites. Many of us may have looked over this because we're so used to talking about the dominion of Ham and Cush, the father and the son. We don't pay attention to their dominion of the Moabites. And their inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa. Northeast Africa, again, the same region that is known today in the Nile Valley, will be the same region, that some people would call Libya, Kush, all that there. And then Southwest Africa, across the great Atlantis, onto the present North, South, and Central America. And also Mexico, which is where the first Moors ended up coming over here before Columbus. And the Atlantis Island, before the great earthquake, which called the Great Atlantic Ocean. So it was not the pharaohs of Egypt whose dominion extended all the way over here. It was the Moabites who were given permission by the pharaohs to move into the West, who were actually the true founders and possessors of everything that was brought here. So this is where our history come from. So we see that there were those, who were brought here and those who are already here, because it's speaking of the Atlantis Islands before the great earthquake. And when it talk about the Atlantis Islands before the great earthquake, this brings us back to, the concept of Pangaea. When we're dealing with one particular landmass, before there was a continental drift, before the 7 continents became manifest as 7 continents. So we go all the way back during that time, and often when we talk about that, modern scientists are baffled. You see, we have a lot of history to reflect this. And so we're going to talk about this a little bit and get into this, because we keep telling our people, but most of them are not getting it because they're not following the information. They're too busy allowing Rome to dictate to them who they are, as opposed to being who they are. So, like I said, when we're talking about the Moabites, and I show this all the time, but it's still good that we do it. We're gonna share the screen in a minute. And we're talking about the Algerians. So I'm gonna just do this real quick, because you have to know, you got to be able to trace this stuff, family, by etymology. This is the link. The Mozabite was another name that was used, and it's just a sound shift. And they'll tell you here that the Mozabite people, or who they call the Banu Mazab, are a Berber ethnic group. And they use that term Berber. It's really a misnomer, but all is well. We know who it's really referring to. Inhabiting the Mazab, natural region in northern Sahara and Algeria, numbering 150,000 to 300,000 people. They speak primarily the Mozabite language of the Zenati languages. And it says, in the Berber branch of the Afro-Asiatic family. Moabites or Mozabites, see the Asiatic connection, are primarily Ibadi Muslims, but there's a small portion of Jews as well. So we see both the line of Isaac and Ishmael coming from Ibrahim. So there is the connection of the Sephardic and also what we call the Philosha Moors. Right there, that's the connection, the Mozabite. The Mozabites mainly live in 5 oases. And it's very important that we mention that, because the Mozabite, aka Moabite link, is the true term under which those who call themselves Israelites, and Moors can be found in antiquity. And even there's a connection to the Canaanites. But it goes on, family. And it will tell you, like I said again, as you read and study, you can see these people. And this is what the Mozabites, some of them look like here. Them the ones that everybody think. But these are the Mozabites here. So you have to understand the difference between what we call the Hattertons, the original people, and then the Albidan. Once you understand that, all is well. And they actually have it right here. See the DNA right here, E1B1A and all of that. I got these same markers. This is Y chromosome of DNA. It tell you exactly where they come from. Human mitochondrial DNA, which is the matrilineal DNA portion. North African lineages. So when the prophet talked about the capital empire, North Africa and so forth and so on, Northwest Africa, that's right there. See, Mazab, a Moroccan tribe, right? What's the modern name? Morocco. What is the ancient name? Moab. You see? So you can go and do your own research and you will see the connection between the Moabites and the Mozabite. Same people, just different expression, in the dialect. And so if you look these people up, like I said, the oldest pictures, these are the unmixed Mozabites right here. You know what I mean? Like, we can't make this stuff up. We show it to our people all the time. But some of our people, again, they like to believe the narrative. And you can go and do your research. That way you know the difference and you can be what you know. So, looking at this special drawing and talking about their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa across the great Atlantis. So that went to a whole nother level, meaning the Atlantic Ocean all the way into the present North, South, and Central America, also Mexico and Atlantis Islands before the great earthquake. So when we talk like this automatically, will speak of those who would truly be referred to as Native Americans, which would be our ancestors. We was here first. We are the indigenous, the aboriginals to the land. All of those titles belong to us because, again, there were those who were brought here and there were those who are already here. Again, I'm primary evidence because I also have a percentage of a marinate, which what they call, the oldest so-called natives to come here 20,000 years ago. I got some of that in me, which is supposed to be the prototype of what they like to call the Indian, So when we look at it from that aspect, but there's a small percentage because the majority of my DNA is 85% sub-Saharan West African. It's just a portion of my DNA that have those traces in it. Those who are already here and those who came here as well during the time of slavery. And it is said that also my DNA has a very little trace of Neanderthal, like 1% or something like that, 2%, nothing at all, really. And so it is also stated that there was a connection to, because people always say, well, show me somebody from Africa that you're supposed to be connected to. And actually, the person in Africa that my DNA is supposed to be connected to is Nelson Mandela and also Obama. They supposed to be African born, so they say, right? But you got some European up in there, and I strike that from the record all the time. Einstein and Charlemagne and who else? Napoleon. The French connection. That's in there too. Like I say, I strike them from the record, but we already know how they admixture get up in there. And it's a small percentage. My African outweigh, the admixture. So most of us, if we did our own research and we took our own tests, they would most likely yield similar results. But that's a whole measure in and of itself. But what I want to do is kind of go into, the deeper aspects of this, because some of our people really have no idea, how powerful, our holy prophet was. And I actually had a whole PDF here. I won't go through all these slides. I'm going to deal with what's more relevant. That's like almost 200 slides right there. So I'm going to pull forth some extractions, because it's important. And I'm moving at a pace because I want to make sure that our family get this. I got another one right here I want to show our family too that I put together. I keep these here and I just go back to them and reference them because there's nobody that can actually overthrow this information. So I pull this one up right here as well, even though some of this information overlap into the other. We have to remember these are different markers This goes more into the scientific expression, of the times when they like to talk about the Homo habilis, who is really the Homo habilis, But we talk about the Homo erectus. The first Homo erectus scientifically was known as the Atlantis Mauritanikus. Once you understand that, that goes back a long time ago, because when they start talking about the Homo erectus, they get into what they call hold up, more skin. Let me make sure this thing don't die on me. Yeah, trying to. Okay, come on. Give me a second. Okay. Okay, yeah, there we go. So yeah, the Homo erectus was known. The one that you know of as Homo erectus scientifically was originally known as the Atlantis Mauritanikus, which means Atlantis and Mauritania, And so if you look at the markers, the oldest that they found, according to them, the modern expression, they talked about, the Jebel Uhud, also known later as the Ibero-Mauritans, around 20,000 years ago as well. And Ibero-Mauritans deal with the people that inhabited this particular region up here, just like the Atlantis Mauritanikus did. And they say this is the oldest attestation, of where they found the people at. This is North African region. Now, our people have to understand that there was a migration from the land of what we call Canaan long before the Nile Valley was established. And they migrated from Canaan, just like our prophet said, went all the way over into the next place, North Africa, Northwest Africa, and they settled here. This is what happened. But then there was a migration back from here into the Nile Valley civilization. So in other words, they came out of this region just like the prophet said, and they migrated here, and then they migrated to the Nile Valley. And this story is often told as it relates to Tehuti, who was an Atlantean who left this particular region after the flood, the most recent one close to us because it was more than one flood. But this one that was here in this particular time period, 10,000 years ago, once Atlantis sunk, and fell, Tehuti migrated into the Nile Valley according to the historical records. And he taught Osar because he found the people were in a savage state, meaning they wasn't civilized with the knowledge. So Osiris became his first student. You see, and he taught, the letters, and his wife was more in touch with the numbers. But this is how the civilization came about. So when it talks about old man Cush, our people have to remember there was one time where Cush was known as the Arabian Peninsula. Even during the time of Muhammad, it was still known as that. So this is the empire. The Kushite empire extended from here all the way over into here. All this was Kushite. Even into India, when they come up with the Indus Kushite Valley civilization later on. And we got some references to that. So if you come here, this is an old expression of a map, and you see here, this is actually looking at the map from an aerial view. Some people look at this and try to call it like they end up trying to call this a flat earth thing, but these maps really have to do with looking at it, from above. So this would be Africa. Basically similar to the upside down map that was used by the Moors, when they spoke of the Kibelon map. And this is actually the Iberian Peninsula where the Pillars of Hercules at. So this would be North Africa right here. This would be Mauritania right here. This would also be the same region known as the Richat structure, where Atlantis would have been the extension of Atlantis going across this Oceanus Atlantic Ocean. This is called Insula Atlantis. And then they had Atlanticus again, and then you come into America. So there was, proof that there was even water on the land, or the dry desert that we call, the sub-Saharan West African region, the Ricat structure. You can still see it today. So here's another map turned, in the present expression that we see it. So in this area here on this map, and I tell our people they got maps where they actually call this continent Libya at one time, or Ribia, the Libu. And this is actually a name of some ancestors of the Moors, the Libu, the Meswesh. Remember I was telling you about the Carthage and all that? This is Atlas. Atlas is known as the Atlas Mountains. This is the Iberian area. So when they talk about Ibero-Mauritanian, those who inhabited this region, this is another map here for those who can see it. Here's another map. See, the names keep changing on the map. They use the term Gumantes. A lot of Latin books have this term in it. But notice how the Nile flows here. They would call this Lower Nile, and this would be the Upper Nile. This is Meroe. Same reason going back to Sudan, Meroe, which is what a Meroitic language originated. It flows from here all the way into the west, just like Prophet Noble Drew Ali said. This is actually the world map according to Herodotus, and notice what he is calling this particular region here, Atlantis. So this is where everything is. Here's another map. Here, Dionysus map. And if you look up here, Africa was just a small province in the north region, and then they tried to come with an extension down here, but Africa was really up here for those who are looking at it. You see? And then you have Mauritania over here. Again, this same region that was just called Atlantis, or the Atlas Mountain region on this particular map. This again, they call it the Hispania. This is Spain. This is the Ibero region, Ibero Peninsula. And so if we keep going, we have another map. And these maps are revealing certain things. See what it uses here? They use the same Latin information. They got Carthage, Getuli, but it says Marusi, Maurussii, the Marusi, West Ethiopians. It's talking about the Moors again, the Atlanteans, same people. This is that flat earth type of map I was telling y'all about earlier. You know what I mean? A lot of people call that, a flat earth demonstrator, but really it's just looking at everything from above. So in this particular map here, we also see the Moors that actually use that terminology right there, the Moors, right? We can see that Lemuria is found in this region here, right up on the Arabian Peninsula too. This is what the island of Madagascar is. See right there? See the Madagascar down here. Lemuria right there, extending all the way over even into, a lot of the region they call India. So Atlantean Empire here, where the Moors are Lemurian over here, which are the same people, but just different empires. When one fell, another one rose up. This is actually a picture in that same region showing the ancient Lemurian or Kamari or Kandam, which is the sunken version of that same area. Here's another one here, Continente Lemuria Kamari Kandam, off of Madagascar. There was a connection, of Atlantis. Lemuria being over here in this area. We can't make this stuff up. These are all maps that you can find. And then they show it to you before it's sunk right here, Lemuria, which you can see the connection. linguistically. So what we found, and you can look this up, ghost DNA of West Africa revealed the Homo Mauritanius Atlantis, which was an antecessor. See, people use the term ancestors, but antecessor is even more ancient. The Homo Mauritanius Atlantis antecessor, in reference to the epithet, means explorer, pioneer, early settler. Since Castro et believed they were the first humans to leave Africa. So if they left Africa, then using terminology, they would have to be African. If they left Moorish, then when they arrived to wherever they went, they would have to be Moorish. You get it? It's as simple as that. Homo antecessor is an extinct species of hominin that lived in Spain, England, and the Mediterranean, inland Iberia, France during the early Pleistocene. Right? And that's the ghost DNA. The antecessor has been proposed to have been the chronos species between H. erectus, Homo erectus, and Homo heidelbergensis. Or heidelbergensis, some people say. While the H. heidelbergensis is an often accepted predecessor to the H. neanderthalis, it says, and maybe H. Homo sapiens, the derivation from the H. heidelbergensis, it states, to H. ancestor is debatable. The discoverers note the H. ancestor may have derived from the African Homo erectus migrating to the Iberian Peninsula 1.2 million years ago, which directly developed to the H. heidelbergensis of 0.8 million years ago, and then the H. neanderthalis of 1.3 million years ago. The H. Homo ancestor has a face similar to the Homo sapiens. So Castro et al. First posited it was the common ancestor of apomorphic humans. Not apes, not monkeys, but humans. This would be scrutinized later by Jean-Jacques Hubelin in 2001. It says, thought the Grand Delina and contemporaries Tegnif, and Tegnif is the region up there as well in the same area, remains a single populations due to 14th and 15th dental traits, resurrecting the Homo Mauritanius to group these. In 2007, Castro et al. Found the Tegnif remains to be much larger and dentally similar to the other African specimens, but recommending the usage of the Ergaster Mauritanius to the house of North African early Pleistocene specimens. So we're talking about North African early settlements during the Pleistocene time. Right here. You can go look this up because this comes from a scientific website. So once you understand DNA and RNA, you understand that RNA conveys memory, while DNA itself conveys, the gene pool and, everything being passed down. It's a powerful demonstration. So there's been a lot of talk about, and we went into that last book last week. We was talking about the Negro, and they was trying to say the connection of the lemurs, which is monkey, connect to us, but they didn't tell you that the lemurs on a higher level actually represent a ghost. And this goes back to the ghost DNA. While Roman translation, hold up, give me a second here. Okay, yeah, while the Roman translation, it says Lemuru, Amori, refers to ancestral spirit. You can't have an ancestral spirit without having a body that embodied a spirit. It's impossible to have an ancestral spirit without having had a body that was a vehicle for the spirit. So if Lemur represents the ancestral spirit, then who were the people that embodied the spirit? Who were the people that were the vehicle that the spirit had been in? So it was thought that on a set date each year, ancestral spirits rose from their resting places to attend the festival of Lemuria, the festival of the ghost world. The term Lemuria literally means ghost world. So there's a deep connection because we had the ability to cross the borderland at ease. You know, Lemuria is still thriving right now because it deals with the soul plane. That's really what the ghost connection is. There the enemy can't hide. According to a legend, a beautiful continent known as Lemuria or Mu once thrived in a similar time frame to Atlantis. The two historically overlap briefly between 30,000 and 25,000 years. You know, and this talking about before, you know, certain floods and so forth and so on. So when you look at that alone, family, you know, it don't get no plainer, right? But we'll go further because we have more information on this. We talked about this before. They talked about the good spirit. You know, the Lamar is the general name of the departed spirits of men. Oh, so we already know if Lamar is a general name for the departed spirits of men, then this has a connection to the men that the spirit departed from. You see? So yeah, it went into a whole bunch of different measures. It was considered that the good spirit represented angel, and the bad spirit, evil spirit, is known as more like a larva. You know, something that feeds, like leeches off of life, so to speak. You know, so it goes into that, and that's an 1809 dictionary of the Roman and Greek antiquity there. You know, this information is out there. Here's another definition for Lamaris: transcending what had been taught to us about these lemurs or these monkeys. See, spirits or ghosts or departed specters, the return of the ancient ones, basically. The principle of activity in inanimate and animate objects was for Theophrastus something personal and spiritual, archaeus, astrum, astral realm, right? Spiritus, an emanation from the deity. And each element had, as we have seen, its own active and living agent. Thus in the air he found the Lamars or the spirits and air of Sylvians, in the earth the gnomes and pygmies, in the water the nymphs or the water spirits, and in the fire the salamander. If you notice, Iblis said in the Holy Quran, you created me from fire, you know, and you created him from clay or earth. You see, but salamander, as it relates to fire, make you think about reptilian tendencies, snake-like tendencies, and so forth and so on. You know, so, you know, it goes on. It goes on, family. Very powerful. And let's go here because I don't want to spend a lot of time. Here's a source here that speaks of Lemuria over 1 million years ago. You know, even in the days of Lemuria, men peopled the earth, and the Lemurian people were of the first type, we are told here. And they got figures in here, different pictures in the text, but it says the pure Negroes and other woolly-haired races today are remnants of the ancient Lemurians, with little change of type except in dominion of stature, meaning pretty much we stayed the same, we just got a little smaller, you know. But anyway, it goes into the root races. You know, it talks about the imperishable sacred land, the continent of the Hyperborea, you know, the continent of Lemuria, you know, Atlantis, Europe, Asia Minor, North America, all the way up to where we are now. You know, and you can see that the Lemurian and the continent of Atlantis have the reference to the number 3 and 4. Now, we'd say that Noble Drew Ali say he came for the 3rd and 4th generation. So that means that the third and fourth generation, or the return of the ancient one, there's a connection between the third root race and the third generation as it relates to us, and the fourth root race and as it relates to us. So the Lemurian and Atlanteans, we are the return of the ancient ones. You see? Very powerful. So, it even goes into different history and goes deeper into the breakdown of these things. Like I say, I'm really touching on the things that are immediate. And I don't want to, I just want to make sure I show our family these things. We can see that there is no, even though they've been trying to teach us this, we went over some of this last week. Notice who's walking up out of here. This is European. This is the Homo erectus. This is where I chopped this off. We didn't come from no apes. The only thing that evolved is the minds of men. You see what I'm saying? They want to say this ape gave birth to this, which looked like supposed to be one of our ancestors, and then we gave birth to the European. So no, that's their history. They come from apes, not us. We can even see what was lacked up here in the DNA sequencing that was here. We shut them down with this a couple of times. If you look, the human and the chimpanzee has nothing in common right here. If you look, even the chimpanzee and the gorilla, though similar, they have a difference here in their readings. Same thing with the so-called common ancestor, which ain't nobody never found, which don't really exist. That's just a term existing to try to come up with a theory or a thesis. So when I isolated all of the DNA, we see man's chunk here, common ancestor here, ape here, and all of them are different. You see? So this is powerful, family. This is powerful. So it's a lot of history here. A lot of history that our people hadn't caught up with. We have a picture up here showing the Caucasus Mountains, where the European come from. We even showed the lesson, of the NOI and the Moorish teaching from whence they got their teaching. When the prophet was asking who were the children of Adam and Eve, he talked about the pale skin and the Roman and the 102s, and it goes into all of that right there. Then we see the works of Carl Linnaeus, where they was even calling these same apes Lucifer, which they also was known as the original troglodyte nigger. This is your original troglodyte, and you know that good and well. That ain't us. That ain't us right there. You see what I'm saying? But these are the names they use. This is the original troglodyte, troglodyta, and this is Lucifer right here. So in other words, when they say they descend from an ape or a monkey, and that's why they was trying to put that on us. They were trying to put that on us, family. All you got to do is go to the book of Job. Job picked up on it. Look at all these pictures of them crawling on all fours. This is referring to their history, and they want to give it to us. I believe in evolutionary in our thought pattern, not coming from no apes. So it's the evolution of the way we think. Here's another measure here dealing with the Homo erectus, the ape man that wasn't. And I actually got a whole bunch of scientific stuff like the jawbones. And if you look at this here, notice it says Atlanthropus right here, Atlanthropus. This is circa 7,000 or 700,000 years ago. The Tefni, again. We got it right here, family. Here it is. This is the jawbone of the Mauritaniacus, Homo Mauritaniacus, the A species, the H, location Africa. And so I did the work in this area of finding all of these things and showing exactly what it was. This is the Tefning. Again, look at them in North Africa, in the Maghreb. You see where they're being pinpointed at? Coming across here, North Africa, same region that they call today Mauritania, Morocco, all of that right there, right here. This is what they found, connection. So why are all the ancient, that are being found in this particular region? Why is the oldest being found there? Here it is here. This is supposed to be a remake of the Atlantis Mauritanias. And they tell you here Atlantis at Ramborg in 1955, Greek Atlas. Remember I showed you the map of the Atlas Mountain equals and refers to the proximity of the site to the Atlantis Mountains. This is actually the area where Ibn Mukmin, was known, the Lion of the Mountain, one of the Moors who was a part of the Almohadid that actually started the Almohadid dynasty. That's why I took that name. But it says a system of ranges and plateaus in northwest Africa, extending from Morocco, Tunisia, and the Atlantis human being. This is more ancient than even what our prophet was mentioning in the history, but it still has the same pattern of coming out of the northwest and going further into those other areas. To Tunisia, which was known originally as Africa. And it says that anthropos, human being, the taxonomic name given by Camille Ambron to the genius he established to accommodate a new species. He provisionally proposed for 3 hominin mandibles and a cranial fragment recovered by Umbro and Hofstetter in June of 1954. The Ternifine, which I just showed y'all on the map, now called Tegnif, which is where they come up with the Tegnif language, same language they use in the movie Black Panther, near Mascara or Algeria in the foothills of the Atlas Mountain. It says, although Umberg noted the new mandibles were very closely related to Asiatic Pithecanthropus. That's your Asiatic Sinanthropus. It says, and there are some features that are reminiscent of the Australopithecines and the Telenanthropus. Particularly, Umbro concluded that the fossils cannot be identified exactly with the Pithecanthropus or the Sinanthropus and the Telanthropus. So he assigned them to the provisional name Atlantis Mauritanias. So they're letting you know where that name Atlantis Mauritanias come from. Umbro's paper was published in the same year as the first edition of Wilfred L. Gross Clark's The Fossil Evidence for Human Evolution. But in the second 1964 edition, when discussing the fossil record for Homo erectus, Lee Gross Clark concludes his discussion of the remains from what is now called Tegnif by writing that there can be little doubt that these remains do belong to the same species, Homo erectus. Lee Gross Clark in 1964 type species Atlantis Mauritanias. See Homo erectus. So they basically ran down the same information here. So we don't have to go over that again. That's just really reiterating what I'm saying. Here it is again. Atlantis is a dubious genius of hominid that lived in Algeria during the Pleistocene. Fossils of this primate are known as Terefrin, Tegnif, an archaeological site of 20 kilometers and 12 miles east of Mascara, Algeria. This site was first quarried in the 19th century after several fossil animal bones and artifacts were recovered. From 1954 to 1955, excavations were carried out because the importance of the site was determined after several fossils, included human mandibles, were found. However, they stopped because of the flooding, but lowering of the water table allowed the strata to be examined. These include hard grayish clay and small lake/swamp sands. The ecology 700,000 years ago was likely arid and rather treeless. It states the first mandible was found in 1954, but the remnant was damaged. But this is just going back again, and they come all the way down here talking about the Peking man. They found the turf and the hominids had enough differences to erect new genus in species, which is the Atlantis morintanicus. You know, the Atlantean Moor is basically what they're talking about. These are original scientific terminologies that were used until they remixed it. You know, so y'all will get a chance. Atlantis, Homo morintanicus, and the ancestor of the Hildebrand man. So they go into all of that family. You know, we can't make this stuff up. You know, it don't get no plainer than this. It get better, but it don't get no plainer. You know, here it says it is assumed that Atlantis is an agent of the lithic culture present in Hennick. This make me think about Enoch. But it says El Hajeb Salsidi Abdulrahman, Morocco, which dates back to 1 million years ago, was replaced by the Herculean 600,000 years ago. It says it's a culture of evolved Aldewan industry, characterized by the use of proto-bifaces and trihedral picks and flakes, working to make specialized utensils, knives, and profiters, scrapers, and presumably brought by immigrants from Old Dubai, Tanzania, and is somewhat late compared to East Africa. In any case, it is its character as a culture of transition to the Herculean, it says, could explain the eruption in the bifacial technique in Europe. Morintanicus is contemporary with Homo antecessor, which appears to be linked to the early Oldovian industry. It would also be the contemporary of the first Homo heidelbergensis. Moreover, the Morintanicus tends to be considered as a variety, rather primitive, we add, of the European Heidelberg man. So the original inhabitants, you know, they would be of this same Morintanicus link. You know, so yeah, it goes on. If this filiation is admitted, it would have been considered an early Heidelbergensis or an ancestor of it. You know, the Morintanicus would have been, which is clearly a hypothesis that confronts the one that considers the ancestor of the Hildebrand. It say it has been pointed out that the remains of Morintanicus are comparable to the Asian erectus types and would be related to other types that consider erectines or later Eragaster from Ethiopia, which is Kush and Chad. You know, so, you know, it don't get no plainer than that right there, family. You know, just look at this. This is the history they've been hiding from you. Then it talked about Atlantis 800,000 years ago. You know, where the Atlantic Ocean is today, there existed once upon a time a continent, which Theosophists after Plato called it Atlantis. This is what the prophet was talking about before the great Atlantic. You see, before there was the Atlantic Ocean. It says by the time of the map, figure 23, Atlantis and the remnants of Lemuria have changed in outline. It says in word, we come. Hold up. Let me do this again here. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it says, as we come to the days of figure 24, the remains of the once vast continent of Atlantis, only a large island in the Atlantic Ocean. We showed that to you on the map earlier. So that brought us over here to prehistoric Africa. You can actually find the link and see the area they have marked out. This is the area they call Libya, coming up out of the Nile Valley civilization, the Puttites, you know, and the connection going all the way over here to Carthaginian, the African concept, all the way over here. Yeah, we can't make this stuff up. This is it right here. Here's another drawing that comes more closer to us, the Ibero-Maurusian, which is they still using the Mari in the root of the Ibero-Maurusian, which was supposed to be here over 25,000 years ago. And notice that they are right here in North Africa, the same area. They're talking about the Natufians, the Halfins, the Eastern Orient, the early Caspian, the Ibero-Maurusians in the same area where they done found, the Jabir Uhud, Atlantis, and so forth and so on. We got scientific references. Then they give you the DNA again, that E1B1A. Anytime you see that, that's us, family. It say this is an Ibero-Maurusian skull. It says the direct ancestor of the indigenous population and direct ancestor of today's North Africans. The Berbers dated about 15 to 20,000 years. It was found in one of the oldest human cemeteries in the world at Tafarat, Morocco, North Africa, based on Y-DNA and mtDNA, mitochondrial DNA. Analysis, this burial belongs to the paternal haplogroup of EM35 and maternal haplogroup U68. 4 ancient Mediterranean lineages are descended from the E1B1B. EM35, which is a connection in my DNA, I seen it, and Berber MA81, Balkan, EV13, and Neolithic Levant. This is the area that's pretty much where you can see a connection of those who are of the Levant, or the region that's known as, the area where you see a lot of so-called Moorish Israelites and so forth and so on. M123 and the Egyptian EV22. There's a connection here. That's that connection between Northwest, and Southwest Africa, Northeast and Southeast Africa. Here's a rendition of the Ibero-Maurusians being reconstructed, how they would have looked, according to some people who did it. This is Atlantis before the flood, 9,564 BC. And they actually have, you can see things are closer, knit, connected. But yeah, we got it here. See the Jabir Uhud I was talking about earlier? See where they found them at? Remember I was telling you about a migration and even a connection in Canaan. See, this is Jabir Uhud over here. This is the Kushite region. This is the Arabian Peninsula. We can't make this stuff up, family. Science is direct. Is where I got this from. That's a scientific website. This is just showing a picture of Atlantis. It looked like eccentric circles. Here's one from the Book of Primeval Ones. They showing a similar measure here with the glyphs, which is almost like the plane sphere that we find in the zodiac realm. Yeah, so there are many aspects that talk about this history of the flood, and how it was devastating. Like I said, it was a few floods. Here's one right here that talk about the 3 ages of Atlantis according to traditional chronologies. The first Atlantean period is 432,000 BC. Primeval age of the gods, incarnation of highly evolved spiritual beings in human form on Atlantis. Civilization develops in Atlantis. The city of the Golden Gates are founded. The occult sciences reach their peak in Atlantis. And Atlantean magic degenerates into sorcery. War between the children of the law of the one and the sons of Belial. It says, in the fall of man, Atlantis destroyed, the White Lodge retreats underground. Second Atlantean period, 35,335 BCE to 10,961 BCE. That comes up to the flood that we presently know of. Atlantean civilization recovers under the guide of the initiates of the White Lodge. They're talking about Tehuti. The Aryan Empire, the 5th root race, is established in the Gabi and the foundation of the Second Atlantean Empire. You know what I mean? Then it talks about the 3rd Atlantean aspect. This is that exact flood era coming up all the way up here to the post-Atlantean period. all between that. The second wave of Atlantean colonization into Egypt and South America. Remember I was telling you about that? The rise of the Neo-Atlantean empires in the West. So we understand that it was the Atlantean Tehuti that colonized Kemet or Egypt, and it was from the Nile Valley civilization that there was an influence that left there for South America, North America, however you want to look at it. The rise of the Neo-Atlantean empires in the West and the hegemony of Heracleopolis in the Mediterranean and the end of the Younger Dryas, which is the final destruction and submersion of Atlantis, that we have been talking about in our era. Worldwide rise in the sea levels and desertification of the Sahara. The fall of Heracleopolis, the Thulian invasion of the Mediterranean from the north, the first wave of sea people migrations, what they like to call the Phoenicians, and all that took place during this time. Worldwide collapse of non-Atlantean civilization, beginning of dark age, subsequent migrations of sea people, the Pelasgians into Europe, the Mediterranean, birth of Europe, megalithic civilization, post-Atlantean missionaries become the founders of the first historical civilizations of Egypt, Sumer, Mesoamerica, and reign of the Nephilim. So you see all the history on how all of these things came later. The fall of the old kingdom in Egypt and the decline of Sumer, a departure of the gods, the sacred center of the Manavantura becomes concealed at the beginning of the Kali Yuga. And the Kali Yuga is a cycle. We base our calendars off of cycles. These time periods seen many different Yuga cycles, like 430 some thousand years. Come on, please. This present European civilization hasn't even seen a cycle age. They trace themselves back from 6,000 years ago. They haven't seen a full cycle age. They're very young when it comes to dealing with time and manifestation. This is just a rundown of the same thing, showing you the different floods, first flood in this time, and it comes all the way up into the Genesis, the Bible, and everything else. So, yeah, family, we can't. It even talking about, a lot of people don't know that the term Atlan has a reference of the Ad people that are mentioned in the Quran, because it talks about it. See, in the Hebrew, the Christian traditions, Nimrod is considered the leader of those who built the Tower of Babel in the land of Shinar. According to Frank Joseph, the author of the book, The Atlantis Encyclopedia, there are several similarities between the Adites and the Atlanteans. That T is interchangeable with D. Ad means first, the Adites, the Atlanteans. Ad people are known for their city with high pillars. According to Plato, Atlanteans had a tradition of sacrificial animals in front of pillars. Ad had great physiques, similar to the description of the Atlanteans. The Adites or the Ad are said to be the oldest inhabitants of Saudi Arabia. The Adites were known as ancient Cushites too. The Atlantis is described by Plato was destroyed about 11,000 years ago. The Adites or Ad are often described as red-haired, and this is similar to the mythological descriptions of Atlantis in several places, such as Egypt, Ireland, and Winnebago. A lot of people don't know when we talk about red hair. There was a mention in history where we see what we call albinos. That's a whole nother measure. The Adites, 10 kings who ruled several places around the world simultaneously. This is similar to the story of 10 kings of Atlantis, because they were said to be 10 kings of Atlantis that actually helped start, civilization after the flood as well. So yeah, this is powerful. Shaddad bin Ad, they talk about Shaddad bin Ad. Yeah, it don't get no plain in this right here. It talks about how they went into, the teachings of Atlantis, the Semitic tribe of the Hadramut province in Saudi Arabia, whose ancestors claim they descend from the ancestors of Noah's grandson. It goes all the way into talking about the people also of All these different people that we call, Ham, Shem, Japhet, the great races on the earth, the three great races. Yeah. Yeah, it don't get no plainer. And as it went on down, there was another picture, depiction of what they wanted to say the original North Africans looked like. So here's another one, Science Organization. This is actually showing some of the same places up here. You see where it says Mozambique actually on this map. Mozambique here in the same area we was talking about. Mozambique, Moroccan. This is all that. Look, Mauritania. It's all that same region. Mali. A lot of people don't know the L is interchangeable with the letter R. Mali. Mari. The Tuaregs are considered Moors. A lot of people don't know that. So here is an excerpt that comes from the works of Ivan van Sertima. He was speaking of the Gazantians, the Atarians, Ataranians, himself in the Atlantis. It says the Moors initially were from the Berber indigenous people of the Maghreb. The term name Moor was later also applied to Arabs, which means it wasn't applied to the Arabs originally. They were all descendants of Noah's son Ham. As far as the ancestors of these Berber-speaking tribes due to their oral tradition, not much of their history survived. Though limited by his Roman-centric perspective, there is a surviving account by the 1st century BC Roman historian Sullus. He shed some light about their ancestors that obviously predates the arrival of Christianity into the region by at least 2 centuries. Sullus describes the indigenous inhabitants of North Africa as the Getulians. Remember I was showing y'all that on the map? And the Libyans, both nomadic, hunter, and gathering cultures. He goes on to say that their culture later mixed with the wave of sea migrants, Canaanites, Phoenicians, and the new mixed cultures then began trade contact with the Iberian Peninsula. Same reason that we just showed you scientifically deal with the Atlantis Mauritanics, the Ibero-Mauritanian, and so forth and so on. The same that we call, Atlantis Mauritanians, or the Atlantis Mauritanics. The new mixed cultures then began trade contacts with the Iberian Peninsula and became ancestors of the historic Mari, Moors, and Numidians. Their descendants today are the Amazigh, the Mozambique, and the Tuareg, who lived in scattered communities across Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, Mali, Niger, and Mauritania. They speak various Amazigh languages belonging to the Hamo-Semitic family, related to ancient Egyptian and African Great Lakes region. The Amazigh, or the Imagzin, means free and noble. They have been present in these territories since the ancient times, according to the historian Malika Hackett. Their presence in the region date back to more than 10,000 years. And Berber, as an identity and culture, was forged in the lands of North Africa and nowhere else. So here's another map. Notice on this map, in the same region that was known as Mauritania, we see the name Moors. We see Senegal, the Gambia. This is where the door of no return was. Freetown, Dakar. Look at the mountains, the Niger River, that flowed over here that was being spoke of. Here's another one, another map. You can see, right here in this area, the Moors. See Libya up here when I was telling you we come up out of the Nile Valley and went all the way across North Africa. Come on, family, we can't make this stuff up. So when we get to talking about the capital empire and the dominion of Africa, and we get deep into this thing, we got receipts. And you've seen, like, just tracing the word, like even comedically, Mera is an ancient name of Egypt. It was known as Mera, Tamare, the land of Mera. Remove them vowels, the E and the A, and you got M and R. You see what I'm saying? Mera. So I, based upon that, went into showing the descendants of Noah. Noah's true name is Menachem. Noach actually comes from, or Noah comes from this root, Menachem, in Menachem. So I say we Moors, the Ancient of Days, indigenous to the planet, and our sacred garden is the world. And so I went to breaking it down about the four rivers being Euphrates, Gihon, Pishon, and Tigris, which actually spells Egypt, the four rivers that are mentioned in the book of Genesis. You know, talk about the land of Ad at the root of the name Adin or Eden, because A is interchangeable with E. Ad means original, or hence then Atlantis. You know, I showed the breakdown on Egypt again, the land of Mu, Lemuria, Elmoria, hence the word Mari or Mir, and Meru and Mero. This is etymology, equals more, etymologically descends from M and R. Just like people using the word black now, the word more in its proper context can be applied as a blanket term to refer to our people in the place of black, even during the ancient time. You know, instead of referring to them as black people, we refer to them as Moors. So from the line of Noah came Cam or Ham, you know, and this was Cush, the Cushites, M and R. Cushites gave birth to Meru or the Meroe dynasty, the Seba Moors, you know, the Saba, and then you have Mesra, which is Mar, and Mera, the Hekapta or Egyptian Moors. Then we have Put, Mari, or Moor, and Numidian Moors, and Kanana, you know, which are the Amari and Amaru, the Mu'abba Moors. No matter how you look at it, there are nations that came from each one of these that had their own dominion and capital empires. But yet that root M and R runs through and through, no matter how far you go. You can't do that with the word black. I keep telling them. You know? So it tells us, remember I was telling y'all about the Puttites and them being the Libyans? The knowledges and the reasoning from the letter of the word Libyans of North Africa, North African nations, the ancient Numidians and Mauritanians, the modern Berbers and Kabyles, Tuaregs, and Moors. From the Puttites, the Libyans, the Lebu, the Meswesh. You see? We showed y'all this map, the Ekibalon map here, that was created by the Moors. You know, honors to the chairman for giving us a rich history on all the land here as well. So yeah, we got a whole bunch of measures in here where we talk about the Garden of Eden, the Nile. You know, we go more into the maps again to show our people exactly what's going on. Then we come here and we go into it. The inhabitants of Africa are descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. So we have from the book Prehistoric Nation, Ham, the remaining son of Noah, had 4 sons, Cush, the father of Nimrod. You just see me show it to you. And the progenitor of the Babylonians, Mizraim, who peopled Egypt, and the northern parts of Africa. Put, again, who is the ancestor of the Moors, the Lebu, the Meswesh, Libyan, as they like to call it, Canaan of the Phoenicians and the Canaanites. So this is the history that the prophet was talking about. So he had to have knowledge of this book, Prehistoric Nation, because they're saying the same thing that he said. The Moors, who were the ancient Canaanites. Here's another one. And this is actually showing a map. Notice how Put give birth again in this map to the Libyans and the Moors. Right? And we see how close Canaan is here too. But it tell you right here. The sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, in Canaan. Josephus writes thus of the 4 sons of Ham, time has not at all hurt the name of Cush. It says, for the Ethiopians over whom he reigned, are even at this day both by themselves and by all men in Asia called Cushites. See? It says the memory of also the Mesriites is preserved in their name for all who inhabit this country of Judea, called Egypt Mesri, and the Egyptians Mestrians. Put also was the founder of Libya, and called the inhabitants Putites for himself. There is also a river in the country of the Moors, which bears that name, whence we may see that the Grecian historiographers mention that the river in the adjoining country by the appellation of Put. So like, family, we can go on and on, even in speaking about the Cadmonites, or what we call the original aboriginal inhabitants. Here's a book called The Canaanites. It gives all the history and name every one of them tried the prophet name. And notice they're talking about the Hamitic Canaanites up here and who they are. You feel me? We just got to know the history. Here's a book, Correspondence of Canaan, where they go into that history. Hence, Cush went forth and settled Ethiopia. Mizraim, the second son of Ham, took possession of Egypt. Put and the third son became the ancestor of the Libyan race in northern Africa. Same thing Prophet Noah Ali talked about. And finally, Canaan, the fourth and last son, left his ancestral home and immigrated in the land of Canaan. However, was not named from him. It goes on, family. Prehistoric nation again. In the 10th chapter of Genesis, the Hebrew belief in the antiquity of the Canaanites called Phoenicians is shown by the statement that Canaan, Cush, Mizraim, Put were brothers. These names are made to represent the beginnings of several branches of the Hamite race. We can go on and on. We can do this all day, family. Then we get into old man Cush and his family. The first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. It's right here. Gihon said to encompass the whole land of Cush signifies the cognition of all things good and truth, of love and of faith. By Cush, everywhere is meant Ethiopia. Ethiopia signifies the cognition, even as Egypt, lower down, it says in the Nile Valley, signifies the science of the natural man. There can be no doubt, therefore, that Gihon was the most ancient name of the Nile, which encompasses or runs through Ethiopia as well as Egypt. The river of Egypt, or the Nile, signifies a boundary for the great rivers, and the Euphrates and the Jordan and the Nile are the ultimate boundaries of the land of Canaan. The river of Egypt, or the Nile, as one of the boundaries of the land of Canaan, as being outside of Canaan, signified such things of the natural man. It goes on, family. We got it. Like, we went so far into this demonstration where we pulled a lot of history out. We already know the Garden of Eden is really a Kibbalon. We went in that history right there. We already know it's talking about the Cadmonites, here in this region. This is powerful. The original sources of the Quran, written by William St. Clair Tisdale, stated that the inhabitants of Arabia were not all of one race. Arabic writers in general divide them into pure or original Arabs. Muhammad said he descended from the pure Arabs, which were Cushitic Arabs. Those who coming from the other countries have become Arabized. The Himyarites and certain tribes present us with traces of affinity with the Ethiopians, and the accounts which the cuneiform tablet gives us of early conquests of parts of the country by the Sumerian kings of Babylonia, coupled with the fact that the early Egyptian kings for a time held sway over the Sinai or Sinaitic Peninsula, and possibly over other districts of north and west, and leave no doubt that there were, even in early times, Hamitic and other foreign elements in the population. We even have here where it's talking about the Asiatic Cushites. And I showed maps that deal with reference to the supercontinent of Asia. when everything was connected. You know, this is all of it together. You know, Asia. And then this is another one that's expressed over here. Asia Major. You know, which prefers everything. I even showed comedically they use the term Amu, Asiatics, for a reference to people. The Remet, you know, the Remet of ancient Kemet, you know, referred to as Asiatics. So, man, here it is here, Africa. Asia originally applied to the peninsula of which carrier formed the western extremity, all the way to the west. The affiliation was gradually extended to the whole continent. In this sense, it is used by Herodotus, who remarks that Egypt didn't belong to either Asia or Africa. The Nile being generally viewed, even in the time of Strabo, as the boundary of the two continents. The term Libya was sometimes used in the extensive exception. I showed that to y'all. You know, and it goes all the way in there talking about Asia Major. And then it says, by these nations' remarks, Major Renel are evidently intended the Moors and the Negroes, which two classes are as distinct as the present day and ancient times, and apparently have no generally varied their ancient limits. The Negroes may in many instances have received new masters from among the Moors. And they're trying to talk about the Albedines there. You know, so yeah, it's powerful. You know what I mean? So want to give honor to our chairman for this statement, and we're going to open up. This nation of Moorish Americans founded by their prophet, Noble Drew Ali, is actually the proverbial rejected cornerstone, lost tribe of Shabazz, the lost found nation of the West, and the return of the ancient one, the Ishmaelite, the tribe of Ali, the 144,000 etc. Martin Luther King referred to them as we as a people would get to the promised land. This nation is properly revealed as the lost found tribes of Ali. And this name is exact because the prophet Noble Drew Ali is the only one who that found them and gave them their true free national name and claimed them. Naturally, he had to break the Roman seals in order to redeem his people hidden therein. So, you know, I got a whole lot of more slides, but, you know, time, you know, is upon us. So even though time never was when man was not, you know, and don't get no plain in this right here, family. They go your Sabians that Muhammad got his prayer form. I always show y'all that. You know, here go the original Arabs, Cushite Arabs, the Sabian Cushites. You know, they got the locks in their head. See the Egyptian depiction here in the Sabian culture. Yeah. Yeah, so all that's Cushitic, all that's dealing with the kingdom of Cush. You know, the mountains of the moon that are referred to, Asiatic Ethiopians, you know, that Dr. Ben talked about. Ham from Mohammedan annals was the common founder of the southern nations, the Moors, Africans, and Indians. So our Moorish culture went into all those languages, and even in the Hebrew language, it tell you. Again, Ham is hot, warm, applicable to the North Africa, where the Numidians and the dark, swarthy Mauritanians are Moors worship Amun-Ra. So if you want to know what they was demonstrating, you know, they was demonstrating what you call reverence for the hidden light, because that's what Amun-Ra represent. Amun, the sun, otherwise Jupiter. Amun represented by Cam. We can see the original Indus Cushites of the Meroe Cushite derivation, their connections to ancient Kemet. They got the fez on their head and the Egyptian shinty around their waist. Look at that. You know, you can't make it up. So y'all done seen all this stuff here. But it's always good to use the hammer of repetition, you know, and go into it. You know, even the concept of a mexim. We even have the proof on this. This is the extensive reach from the Axum Empire to the Aksum Empire. AXEM and AXUM. Northeast and southeast, northwest and southwest. You see, so, you know, see what all means, spirit man. Axum means the heaven. So this is land of the God, the axis of the heavens and the earth. You know, it's powerful, family. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop at this particular point, you know, and we're going to open up the floor so that we can hear from our family. Thank you for your listening ear. And at this time, we're going to open up the floor for our family who want to give their portion. So star 6 your phone, Morris Ken, and all is well.
Yes, no, Grandman. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you, grand man. How you be?
Yes, no, boss, you got it. Let me rise and give all praise to Allah, not to Holy Prophet, Noble Ali, for bringing us everything that it takes to save us the nation. Give honor to everything that it is to be Moorish, our grand national flag, emblem and seal, divine constitution, and bylaws of Moorish America. Giving honor to our Moorish American government for sponsoring our Moorish perspective. Giving honor to our instructor for our hostess for this evening, Dr. Shadu Aminti Muhammad Sexuel, National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America. Islam, Dr. Torre Nur Rasul Simpson Bay, not Sister Grand Chair, coming in for a landing. And Grandman, I tell you, brought forth a lot of information, you know what I'm saying, for the nation. And we give honors to you for that. And the only thing I want to add is, you know, after all this information, you know, how do we make it applicable to self? Well, a quick advice from me, and a quick jewel and gem from me. That's always good to take the Europeans' words, they so-called laws, and put it in front of them. So, family, when you look at the original 13th Amendment, 20 sections, it lets you know they can't no African descent be a citizen of their government, And so, therefore, we understand African descent, but we also know today we're known as Moorish Americans. And Act 6 lets us know who the Moorish Americans are, descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Islam, Grandman, peace and love. Islam, long live Moorish America.
Islam, and gratitude for that badge, Assistant Grand Chairman. We give honors to you for that love thought. Islam, any other more? You like to exercise their thought?
Islam.
Islam, Sister Daniel.
Islam, that danger near Kurt Bay. First, let me rise and give praises to our great God Allah. Give honors to our holy prophet, Noble Ali. Give honors to Act 1. I give honors to all my government officials. And I give honors to you, National Assistant Grand Sheik. For this, good gracious, for this grand class tonight. I tell you, like our National Assistant Grand Chairman say, you brought forth, wow, a lot, a lot of information, great information. And I encourage our Moors can just go back and listen to the playback, because I know I am. And some of the stuff I was familiar with, some of it, you know, I knew about it, but you got documentation, all the maps, all the documentation. And I mean, you showing us where to go look for this information at. And I praise the great God Allah for putting that anointing on you, National Assistant Grand Sheik, because it's like it's just natural to you, and we give you honors for all that you do, all your research. And I just say to my Moorish kin, like the God man said, ain't a whole lot that I can add, because you covered everything. Only thing I can say is the ones who don't want to accept this truth. I know now that they are probably a part of that Masonic Act, and trying to keep our people in the dark. But the prophet said he took the cover off of all of it, and you have shown, and you are showing each and every day. And I see you out there when you was doing your debates with the different ones, and how they would try to come against you, but they couldn't come against that teachings that you had all the documentation, but you didn't give them everything, but you give them enough, and they still wouldn't accept it. So if our people don't want to accept the truth, all is well. We still love them, and we going on, because we got the truth. We know the truth. We know who we are. You shown us where we come from, and how we actually can trace ourselves all the way back to our great God Allah. So gratitude, God man, for this powerful class. Definitely gonna be listening to this playback again. Gratitude for letting me share. Peace and love. Wonderful, wonderful class.
And Islam, and gratitude for your listening ear. Islam isn't not the schism. Islam. I hear a brother trying to get in there. Islam.
Islam, Dr. Larry Daniel Gray, South Carolina Council agent. First I rise and give praise and glory to Allah, the most merciful, and I give high honors to his holy and divine prophet, El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, the last prophet of these days of time. And I give honors to Act 1 of our divine constitution. And I honor you, God, man, for opening up the class for us more, and our chairman for all this, great information that we get this evening. And I honor all my brothers and sisters online. Peace and blessings, peace and love. Well, brother, as you was look, I got 3-4 pages of writing here trying to keep up with you because when a man can trace, see, everybody can't do research, and that's why they get confused. But the way you did your research, brother, I have to give you your props. You know what I'm saying? Because uh, uh, when you go back like that and you can trace things, even etymology, man can trace himself through etymology, and you did it all just now. You know what I'm saying? So how can we deny the truth? You see, some people just want to be slaves, and they just don't want the truth. They don't want to be free. But brother, let me tell you, everything that and uh, like we read before. Trace. Wait a minute, where I wrote it at. Trace ourselves, and then we know. And the way you traced it, and the things you did just now. I was just following, reading. Just staying with you because that's what it's all about. It's about learning and going out and doing your research and then in order to speak on it like you can speak on it, brother, I have to be able to do that research. And see, brother Muhammad know how to do research too. See, so that's why I hang with that brother because he don't just play with it. He go deep into it too. You know what I mean? And we get the and it's all about being around like-minded people. And but it's not nothing we can add to this. All we could do is learn because that's what we're here for. Some of us may know it, but I don't. I don't know all the things that you spoke of just then, but it's here, and I took note after note after note after notes. So I'm in it. I'm going with it. And all I could do is just thank you, brother. It was a great class. It is a great class, and I continue, to be a great class. So all this information right here, and when you traced it back to the to so many thousands of years, Caucasian ain't been here for 5,000 years. You see, they couldn't have hid nothing back that far. You see, they might have hid little things back up in here, but it's still in our DNA, and that's why this resonates so good with us. Because it's who we are. Great class, brother. Peace and blessings. Islam.
And peace and blessings to you as well, brother. Islamism without the schism.
Islam.
Islam, brother Muhammad Bey.
Islam, National Assistant Grand Chief. Ooh-wee. Yes, this is Dr. Jawahar Hamid Muhammad Bey, Consul General of the South Carolina Consulate. First, let me rise in praise of our Father, God Allah, who is the best known, the best arranger of all things, and give the highest honors to his holy prophet, our holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali, who is the last prophet of this new era of time now. I want to give honors to Act 1 of our divine constitution and bylaws. I want to give honors to all of our officials of our Moorish American government and our nation. I want to give honors to our Grand National Seal, our Grand National Emblem, and our Grand National Flag. I want to give honors to this theocratic government in which we all live and can live. I want to give honors to Marcus Mosiah Garvey L., the harbinger and forerunner who prepared the way for our beloved Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I want to give honors to all of our Moorish kin here, there, and everywhere, all of the listening audience and social media and the public. I want to give honors to all of our student ministers, our angels, our executive rulers, our mufti corps, give honors to everyone on this Moorish perspective conference call this evening, sponsored by the Moorish American government. I want to give honors to those that spoke before me and those that will speak after me. And I want to give honors to absolutely everything Moorish. Oh, brother. You know, as we say in our Moorish paradigm, there are no strange happenings. And I want to start this with a spirit, a scripture. And it says, let those that have ears hear and listen to what the Spirit speaks. For wisdom speaks from out the highest plane of spirit life. We give much love, honor, and respect to you, National Assistant Grand Chief, because those of us that know that it was and is the spirit of the truth, the spirit of our beloved Prophet Noble Joe Ali that speaks to you and definitely spoke and presented, illustrated, and demonstrated through you this evening. Evidence beyond refute, as our National Assistant Grand Mufti, Dr. Justice L. Bay, always says, documentation beats conversation. This is so powerful because there is conversation going on right now. You know, when you're talking about this capital dominion, this is so deep because it deals actually with the totality of the history of us, the melanated sun-kissed people of the planet, and all of civilization. You brought clarity to that because you went back into the ancient records and showed the proof. I don't want to be too long. There is a book that our beloved prophet, Noble Joe Ali, wrote. It's called the Book of Ali. And this is where this chapter that you're speaking of. And on page 14, there's a demonstration, an illustration, when we're talking about this capital dominion of the empire of Egypt. And notice it says Northwest, Southwest, Central America, also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands. You covered all of that. But when you go back, then notice how the enemy, the Europeans, tried their best to keep this knowledge and facts of truth from coming forward. Oh, they talked about the Pangea. Oh, my goodness. Okay, well, who brought that forth? A brother named, well, not a brother, a European named Alfred Wagaganer in 1912. But he exposed himself because he talked about the continental drift. And they tried to purport that there was no human life at that time. Well, the prophet came and let us know, no, that's not true. Just like you said, Grand Man, everything that the prophet brought and taught is right and exact. And I want to close with this. The forerunner and harbinger, Brother Marcus Margari L., he said, a people without knowledge of their history is like a tree without roots. Prophet Noble Joe Ali came and said, I came how to be yourself. He said, if I can just get you to thinking, we'll save ourselves. So this whole class that you gave tonight produces thought activity, because many of the listeners never heard this information that you put forth. So you created thought activity by the will of the great God. The seed is planted. Now all that we have to do is research it, verify it, acknowledge it, accept it, and then come home to this Moorish American government, because this is the only place where these divine lessons and these facts of truth are given. This is proof that we are, without a doubt or contradiction, the original people of not just Northwest and Southwest Africa, Northwest and Southwest America, but the whole entire planet. But you gave the history about the dominion. See, without that knowledge of the history, and that's what we suffer from. That all deals with what? The knowledge of self. The prophet came and taught us about that. Islam, oh man, this is such a powerful class. Islam. Gratitude, Grandman. Thanks for letting me share.
Islam. And gratitude for sharing, Grandman. Praise be to Allah. Islamism without the schism. I want to give honors for that measure. Is there any other more who would like to come forth and give their draw? All right. Going once. Going twice. Well, you are all indeed thrice blessed. So that being said, we'll go to our officials. Starting by calling on our Grand National Secretary of Moorish America, Assistant Grand National Secretary of the State, Sister Alset Amunea Islam. Are you there, sister?
Islam, Grandman. The goddess is unavailable. She's on a mission. Peace and love.
Gratitude, peace, and love. But what about our National Grand Mufti, Dr. Kanshu Ma'ak Heru Bey, the Royal Council? Islam, you there, Grand Mufti?
Islam, Dr. Shahid, National Grand Mufti, is on a mission this evening.
Islamism. Well, all right, we know he's about our father's business, so that just give our Grand National Secretary of the State, Sister Sheptut Rakat Ma'at and Putut to come and bay a lot of room to swing that scimitar. Islam, goddess and queen.
Islam. Woo-wee. Gracious. Powerful class. Islam Moorish Ken. First of all, I want to rise and give all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet Noble Durrah Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our Moorish American government, all of our officials, staff, Swift angels, muftis, divine ministers, most especially our Moorish kin. Giving honor to all those Moors that spoke before me, all those Moors that will speak after me. Giving a special honor to our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shadow Amenti El Mahedid Shepsuel, for opening our meeting according to law, and also hosting this Grand Moorish Perspectives class this evening. I want to give a special honor to our National Grand Secretary of Indiana, Dr. Sayan Nati New Hector Ruel, for taking registration and reading our subject chapter for the week. Our subject matter, and giving honor to our family online, on Facebook and YouTube. Gratitude for being here and bringing us your listening ear. Our subject matter this evening is coming from Ayat 7, their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa, across the great Atlantis, even into the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands. before the great earthquake, which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. And prior to that, when we look at Ayat 6, it says the Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan, seeking new homes. As my Moorish kin have stated, this is just a powerful degree that you brought forth for. And when you look at the various source materials that you pulled from, when you look at being able to go into the various historical records and see the tie and the link. And when we speak about cycle ages and going back 1 million, 2 million years ago, and showing the various races and also the historical time frame in reference to the various floods, when we look at Atlantis and see exactly where that island was, when we look at Lemuria and look at these ancient maps to see exactly where that special continent was, that is powerful. And it also, for me, it just continues to bring about race pride, and it gives you even more of a need and a necessity for going back and continuing to study. The prophet let us know that there is much more wisdom to be learned, when it comes down to our Moorish people. And this is such a great blessing because when I was coming up and trying to do the research, whether it be in my high school years, it wasn't until I got to college where I even heard about the Moors, and dealing with the Crusades, and because of the indoctrination received here in the West. And it is such a blessing and an honor to be able to follow our prophet to a destiny that's not uncertain nor unknown. He left his footprint clearly cut. And when he states that every word that he speaks is spirit, and you Moors had better heed, all of us are here striving to unfold unto our God state and to find out even more about our history and culture. It was by design that we have a remixing going on, or book burning going on. And we see some of these things occurring today, and we recognize the fact that there's nothing new under the sun. But when you are able to stand upon the 5 highest principles known to man, which are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and declare who you are, know what your history is, the greatness of your ancestors and forefathers, that's indeed a blessed thing. There are a lot of our people that look to other avenues or think that they can't go back any further than slavery, or that they would be creating a condition to be able to do the research, but nothing could be further from the truth. This is why our prophet teaches us, if he could just get us to thinking, we can save ourselves. And it's these historical revelations coming down from our ancestors, that not only are we proud of, but we are able to pass these degrees on to our children. So indeed, it's a blessing and an honor to be able to state, I'm a Moorish American national, or I'm a Muslim, and be able to recognize the fact that everything came from us as a people. When we look at the various names and labels that were put upon the skulls, and this is the oldest man that we have found, and we see that it stretches, all across the world. So it's nothing that our people didn't touch. We circumnavigated the earth land, so when it comes down to indigenous, and we have a certain perception in mind, which didn't include us as a people, we can stand proudly and say, yes, Aboriginal, indigenous, whatever term you want to place upon it, we were here. So this has been a grand class, and gratitude for teaching us these holy and divine instructions coming from the keys of our prophet, so that we can be uplifted and we can uplift each other. Indeed, a grand class, Dr. Shaheed, much gratitude to you. Keep up the good word gratitude to Act One and our theocratic government and all of our Moorish kin online that have their listening ear brought forth. So gratitude for calling me forth. Much peace and love to all of my Moorish kin.
Islam. And gratitude to you as well, Grand National Secretary of the State and the Tribe of Endurance. You know, for everything it is that you have done and all that you have continued to do and will continue to do. Islamism without the schism. All right. Well, let us call forth our Grand National Chairman, Dr. Akinakton Pert M. Heru Tutankhamun Bey. Islam, you there, Grand Man? Islamism.
Islamism without the schism. And rise give praise to Allah on the Prophet Noble Dwala. He said much honor. The Noble Dwala is the last prophet in these days and times that was sent to bring us his Moorish American national, the divine works of the great God Allah and our ancient forefathers. And he did just that. Well, this has been a very powerful journey, and I want to, give much honor to the magnanimous class. This has been a powerful class. I want to thank you so much, because when you begin looking at this chapter 69 in our Holy Quran, you're talking about Egypt, the capital empire of the dominion of Africa. I mean, we didn't have a clue prior to that Africa had that kind of dominion. There was so many. There was nations and government and ancient too about our country. Oh please, we didn't have a clue. Because you know what? We thought we were the best slaves in America. We thought we were Negroes and black people and colored folks, all kinds of things. But now, yeah, we know about the dominion of Africa now. We know about Egypt being the capital. We know about the last power in these days and time that was sent to bring us, those who that went through all that, the everlasting gospel. So it's a wonderful journey. More, I want to, but it's just a powerful journey. We love you. Islamism without the schism.
Islamism without the schism. We give honors to you as well, Grand Man, and honors to the Book of Fire, burning up falsehood, root and branch. All right, speaking of burning up falsehood, root and branch, let us call forth our National Grand Sheikh, Dr. Serapis Amin Rael. Islam, you there, Sheikh?
It's close to thought.
Islamism, that's that thought the Prophet brought.
Praise Allah for the angel bringing the message this evening. Praise Allah, giving us the ability to listen to the truth as it's been manifested throughout this grand demonstration this evening. Thank you, Grand Man. We give a lot of praise for everything that's unfolded today, and we give the Prophet the honors for bringing us these lessons in a grand and beautiful way. And to the Moors, our elders who gave us this nourishment where we could feed up off of. There's none days go fast that we are out in the desert and we can't feed ourselves. Our Father has definitely provided us the nourishment for our good. Come find out, we're not Negroes and colored folks and black people. Wow. When I was coming up, that's what they called us. That's what we was known as. Come find out, these people don't even exist. And so it's a very powerful demonstration when one finds out exactly who he is. They tried to hide our prophet from us. They hide the prophet so that we wouldn't know where the prophet was at. And we couldn't understand how we got here on earth. And that our brother man had brought the divine truth to us and gave us a pattern where we could find this demonstration, all we got to do is, like you said, look within. And when you look within yourself and really strive to become your higher self, you feed your lower self, truly you're a part of the gods. And we appreciate one bringing us to the manifest this evening, and to the ones who have the understanding of how this science works. It's a more science, and it definitely is symbolized by one being themselves, the higher self, brought it in the context of love divine. Islam, January 15, 1929, warning for the prophet, to be read in all meetings. I hereby inform all citizens to abstain all radical, agitating speeches while they work in their homes on the streets. We have peace and not destruction. Stop flat your cars and Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your cars with your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We often love truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice then must take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens, all malicious feelings towards the government or the prophet of violating the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from God for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law that's laid down to them by the prophet. They lose confidence in the prophet. They should turn in their card and butt. Just want to determine affairs and return to the state where the prophet found you. This is a holy divine movement by the prophet. Don't be too wildly. If the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans to do their part in protecting the prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by all the prophet. Number 2, this divine warning is supreme laws now and will be enforced by the state government hereby. Islam, Islam, Islam. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the rest of one mother has given you so. And divine perfection, therefore, unite you with thy brothers. The peace and happiness we dwell in thy father's house. And when you separate in the world, remember the relation that binds you to love and unity. And prefer not a stranger for thy own blood. If thy brothers in adversity assist him, if our sisters in trouble forsake her not, so shall the fortunes of our Father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. This meeting is officially closed according to Act 2 by the divine Constitution and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Go in peace, Moors. Much love to you. Peace, love, and law. Islam.
Islam, peace, love, and love. Great class. We love you, Grand Sheik. Great class, brother. Great class, brother Shaheed. As always, brother.
Great class.
Elevate the more. Think. Like the prophet said, if we could just get up and think. Peace and blessings.
Indeed, this
Love you,
has
Act One.
biggity
Love you, more.
Great class.
Islam, Moors, we love you.
This session is no longer
We
being
just say
recorded.
gratitude and praise be to Allah for all of your listening ears and, hearts and minds that sympathize, with that in which the prophet has sent us from on high. Praise be to Allah. I want to give honors to our family also out there in social media as well for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe, and let the people know we here. Tyrese Bay, Brother Noble Bryan, Charles Royale, Born Dog, Tyrese L, Adrian Johnson Bay, Janet Walden Bay, Marquise Bay, Sister Siona Thornell, Jehudi Bay. Islam, we love all you Moorish kin. And see you in Sunday school. Because that's where the guides and the nation arrive and derive from. Peace and love.